Hello, House of Masterpiece here, and well, mission accomplished for me. I finally was able to watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie in theaters. Yep, we're finally going to talk about Trap. And yeah, this is my first time watching a Shyamalan movie in theaters. May surprise you a little bit. Well, the thing is, I'm not saying I never really had. It's the thing is, I've never really had the chance to. I mean, and I know, I'm sure many of you will remember for the longest time, um, seeing a poster of Glass on my wall, but that's no longer up there. Um, and I did say for my review in my review of Old, I was planning to see that film in theaters had the COVID outbreak that year not happened. Yeah, and as for Knock on the Cabin last year, which was his film last year, I don't know why. Nothing. There was something about the movie that just didn't really intrigue me. I don't know. It's like, whatever. Maybe I can just pass it. But with this film, I was like, okay, I gotta see this in theaters. I was like, I can't. I gotta. And I think the main thing that intrigued me was the fact that he cast one of his daughters in a leading role in this. Yeah, the singer, Saleka Night Shyamalan is the actor who plays the main performer, Lady Raven. I think her name was. I'll just refer to as Raven. And I was like, okay, this is intriguing. I want to see what he does with directing his own daughter in a film. And I was like, yeah, 'cause, I mean, Salika's a pretty decent artist at the moment. She's growing a good fan base. I guess the other thing also is the fact that he's up. One of his other daughters released her first ever film this year, and it was considered a for watchers by Ishana, I think it's how you pronounce her, and that was not well received. So I was interested to see, and I mean, I know Shyamalan M Night did produce that film as well, but I was just a little bit, I was just thinking, okay, with these family connections, maybe there's something to this. And when I look at Shyamalan's films, this is just me, with the exception of Stuart Little and probably his first film before The Sixth Sense, you can sort of categorize them in different sort of categories. You've got the films that people, pretty much everyone, at least enjoys, The Sixth Sense, Signs, Unbreakable, The Visit. You also have the films that are, you know, they're, s- you know, okay to just, eh, like, Glass and, The Village and even Knock on the Cabin, I think qualifies. Then you have the bad ones, and then you can qualify the so bad it's good movies like like Lady in the Water, The Happening, Old, yeah, Devil, those stuff, all that stuff, yeah. And as for the other ones, the other two, which I like to classify as okay, half of The Happening is so bad it's hilarious, the other half isn't. But stuff like The Last Airbender and After Earth, that's where you get the really bad ones that are totally insufferable. But the thing is, as I'm sure, though each of those two have different reason, you can sort of, you know, blame Shyamalan for one of them. The other is more Will Smith's fault. Yeah. But with this, I like to call this. I think this is okay. It's pretty good. Um, Not perfect, but I thought it worked out well enough. I know it's getting some good reviews. But anyway, let's just get on. So Josh Hartnett plays a firefighter who's taking his teenage daughter out to a concert after she gets good grades in her recent school report. The concert is for Lady Raven, aka played by Shalika Night Shyamalan. Um, but while the scene down, Hartnett notices the amount of security is a lot more than traditional than concerts traditionally are. When he learns from one of the merch store runners that they the amount of police there is to catch the wanted serial killer, the butcher. this puts him on edge because we find out he's actually the butcher. So he's trying to. So while his daughter's trying to enjoy the well, his daughter's enjoying the concert. He's trying to figure out how to. He's able to get out before the police capture him at the end of the set, at the end of this at the end of the show. And yeah, I won't go into any more, though I think you can sort of guess where it's going with, but where it's going. But I will say this: I think I like to say I think I like to the things I like most of all about this. Okay, I like the simple premise. I think it's easy to follow, and the tension is very effective. I mean, especially being in this concert hall, I found it really intriguing. I was in like every action that Hartnett's character does, and how he's trying to figure out how he's going to get out, and in whatever method he can. And every person he interacts with, you're always concerned about whether he's going to snap. And give credit to his Hartnett's performance in general is really good. As is Saleka, I thought she did really well as the singer. I really enjoyed her. Although she does leave a bit abruptly when you get to the climax. I'm like, okay, but in general, I thought she did a really good job. Um, as I said, I like the concert hall itself being the main location is a good one, and every shot just makes it feel both enjoyable, like you are when listening to a live concert, but also that ever sense of tension, that paranoia that you could get, you know, something could go wrong. You could end up getting caught in every action that Hartnett's trying to you know figure out whether he's how he's going to get out of this and make sure his daughter doesn't know who he really is it is handled pretty well. I will say the plan itself for the trap is a good plan. And I will say this, I do appreciate Shyamalan trying something different here. I mean, I don't think this is traditionally what he would normally do, but th- it's shot differently, it's acted a little bit differently to a certain extent. It's a bit more, uh, I would say it's more current with current trends is what I'm trying to say. But he is trying something different here, and for the most part, it works. With with a few nitpicks. Now you have to be there is yeah. Look, I know I'm going to nitpick on the stuff, but yeah, I will say this: there are three things. I should mention first. I think this film reminded me a lot of certain Lifetime TV movies that you see on well, you see shown on made for television stuff. And look, I'm just going to say this: I don't mind the Lifetime television movies. Yeah, they can be cheesy and you know sort of like cartoony at certain moments, especially when it comes to their villains, when they're not directly telling the events of real life stories. You know, I say directly telling the stories because when they do some stuff that are inspired by real life events, then they go a little bit add their crazy touch to it. But for the most part, I do enjoy them despite the cartoony nature of some of their stuff, especially as I said, the villains and how their villains act and some of the other stuff. This reminded me very much of it, and to be fair, I kind of think Shyamalan would work well directing a made-for-TV Lifetime television film. But and well, there is some things that really and like that there are some issues with it. Like Hartnett's not a, I don't think Hartnett's an issue, even though I will say he does sound natural with his performance, especially when he does eventually get caught, because it will happen at some point. Um, the problem is when the concert's over and Hartnett, his daughter, and Salika leave the concert hall. That's where the tension sort of evaporates. There's not okay. There is one point where Salika's singing a song um, with Hartnett's daughter, and that was okay. That was decent enough. But when she has to get out of everything, quickly get out of a jam, and just you know, so she's not. just into a different room from away from Hartnett. That's where things start to, lose tension. Like, okay, we're going predictable now, and yeah. Um, I will also say, well, I think the thing is, I will say that Shyamalan's cameo in this is just, he plays the uncle of who is, he plays one of the assistants to the singer, and it turns out to be her uncle, and I'm like, okay, seriously, did you have to do that, Shyamalan? Like, we know, we all know. Look, you basically advertised everything that your daughter's the singer, and like you have your characters has a family connection in universe. I'm like, okay, seriously, you didn't have to do that unless you could have done something with it. Like, let's get on to the main thing, the twist in it. So yeah, look, you're gonna expect there's gotta be some twist in this. I mean, and not really saying that, not just not really the fact that you're following the villain, but for the whole film. But what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to the twist of who um pretty much uh led to the creation of this trap, the trapping that this whole thing is set in. The person who discovered Hartnett's identity and informed the authorities to create this plan, that's where it fails, is that it's not a bad idea that this person is the one who found out everything. The problem is that this character isn't introduced to the final 30 to 40 minutes of the film. And yeah, that's the problem, is that because we haven't seen this character until after the concert is finished, and we didn't even know if they even existed. That's what sort of fails. There are plenty of other characters that we meet in the concert hall that could have been the one to have, alerted have pretty much been the mole, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, not just we had the shirt, the merch salesman, as I said, Shyamalan as the uncle. There was a couple of there was a mom whose daughters had gone to a fight with his daughter. There was some of the backstage people, even some of the cops that Hartnett briefly interacts with. It's like they could have been better choices that still would have worked. Um, but the thing is, well, I think this is a good choice of who it was. You had to have introduced this character earlier, in my view, in order for it to be, you know, for it to fully work. But in general, I think this is still a decent film, and honestly, I am glad that I saw this after Borderlands, because I get the feeling if I had seen this before Borderlands, I probably could have been a little bit more harsher. Then I'll be like, then after reviewing that, going through Borderlands, I probably would have just probably changed my mind after things. So I'm glad at least saw it after this, and I do give credit to Shyamalan for trying something different, and maybe Saleka has a future as an actress, along with being along with her being an artist. Well, you know, performer actually. But anyway, it's a 6 out of 10 stars. It's about the same as what the critics are giving it, but I think it's decent. Give, as I said, I'm going to give Shyamalan. He did a good job. I'm glad this was my first film I saw of his in theaters. You know, I think, as I said, I probably would have been a little harsher if I had seen this before Borderlands. But it probably would have changed my mind. So lucky I made the decision of what I saw first. As of what's next, I'm going to see in theaters. It won't be anything this month, probably be next month. Like The Wild Robot's probably going to be the next one. And as for everything else anything else, well, there's probably a few things want to do first. Hopefully, a special review of a video game series. Just want to make sure I complete that. And then maybe something else connected to video games. It's a bit of a special project, but that may take a little bit more time. And hopefully I'll start doing some top 10 lists. I hope. But in the meantime, House of Reviews is out, and I shall see you next time. Ciao.